Hi, and welcome back to Purple Color Life. I'm Chad, and in the clip you just saw, there were 3 things that I did wrong that led up to that situation. As you watch this video, you're going to be able to see right off the bat some of the things I did wrong. The first one was everything I did was in a hurry, and there were a couple reasons for that. The video was actually the night before I was selling my Takeuchi mini-excavator. So I was in a hurry because of that. I wanted to get a project done before a guy came to pick up the mini-X. I knew that I only had that night to do it, or else it wasn't going to get done. The hurry was also because it was going to rain that night, and I had just washed the mini-excavator for the guy to come pick it up. I wanted it to be nice and clean. Now I knew that I could probably do this job without getting anything other than the bucket dirty. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to the woods and push this tree, and it won't be a big deal. I'll push it over. It won't get anything other than the tracks and the bucket dirty, and I'll get it back to the building. It was supposed to rain, and I wanted to get this job done before the rain came. I thought I had about an hour and a half. I figured it would take me less than an hour to dig around that tree and be able to push it over. So that was 2 reasons that I was in a hurry. The third reason I was in a hurry is because Jennifer was at volleyball. She is the varsity volleyball coach, and this time of year she spends the evenings coaching. So I like to do these things before she gets back for a couple reasons, but one of those is she doesn't like me doing jobs that don't really need done, and she would definitely say pushing this tree over was a job that did not need done. So the first thing that I did wrong, I did everything in a hurry. And we always know that when you're in a hurry, that's when mistakes are made. We're walking down to the building now, so you're going to see what it looks like. But the second thing that I did wrong was I didn't really have a plan. I was in a hurry, so I didn't come out and scope things out beforehand, and I didn't have a plan for what my kind of plan of attack was going to be to get this tree to come down. So that was the second thing. It was kind of a spur-of-the-moment project because I was in a hurry. And then the third and the last thing I did wrong was I didn't really measure up the tree. So this tree has been here since before I built the house. I actually built this building before the house was built. The original building. It looked much different than it does now. It didn't have the metal siding on it. Didn't have didn't have windows in it. It was just an open-sided shed that was actually a shed that my grandpa had taken down from his property. He stored a camper in it. And then I set it up here to store some equipment like a lawnmower and stuff in it, and my Ford 2N tractor before the house was ever built. So it looked much different back then. I'll see if I can find an old picture of it. But that was the shed originally. Then we took the side wings off of it, and there's actually a video of when the shed was kind of in a remodeling stage. We were working on it, and a big black bear came up behind the shed. It was long before we actually started the Purple Color Life channel, but I do have a clip of that on our channel as one of the videos from before it was a channel. So you can check that out. I'll put the link up above. But the shed now is much different. And way back then, that crab apple tree still had the thorns, but it was small. It was probably not even as tall as me. Just like you kind of forget how quickly your children grow up, it's hard to believe that Mackenzie is 20 years old, starting her 3rd year of college. I kind of forgot how old this tree was and how much it's grown. I had no idea. In my head, it was taller than me for sure, but there was no way it was going to reach as far as the building was away from it. Well, clearly that was wrong, because the tree was much taller and had a much larger canopy than I ever imagined. Let's look at the far side of the shed first, so you can take a look at the side of the shed that was facing away from where the tree fell down. I don't know if you'll be able to see this with the sun, but up towards the peak, right up there, you'll see that the metal is all bent up. Not horrible, just some dings and scrapes. If we look at the roof, I was a little bit worried about the roof on this side. There are still some branches up there, and you can see that the very top, like the ridge vent, is bent down just a little bit. So that fascia on the edge trim fascia, and then the ridge is the only damage we can see from this side. As we walk around to the other side, I can say that time kind of stood still. If we can walk back kind of through what was happening, I had dug the left-hand side, the right-hand side, and right in front of me of that crabapple tree. I hadn't dug anything on the other side yet. I figured that I was gonna have to reposition the machine to dig a little bit on the other side, because those crabapple trees can get some pretty thick roots that spread out, and I thought there's no way that would be enough to release it. I pushed on it just to see like how loose is it getting, kind of like that test, like, okay, do I need to do some more digging here before I move around to the side? And I was shocked when just a little bit of pressure started it moving. And once it started moving, I saw that it was gonna reach the building. And I thought, oh, that's taller than I thought. As it was kind of falling in slow motion, I saw it was gonna be going towards the building. So I quickly pulled in the stick and the boom, rotated the cabin left, and tried to get the bucket over on the side so I could push. I was trying to push the tree so that it would make as least damage as possible. And thankfully that did work. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be, again, happening in slow motion. And the whole canopy kind of fell on top, and I thought, oh no, I'm not even gonna be able to see the damage until I get this cut up. So let's take a look around the side here. I've got it all cleaned up now. The tree is all cut up in chunks and moved out of the way. We did get a little bit of firewood out of it. Now, crabapple is not great firewood. I've got it just thrown here. I didn't measure it. I just kind of cut it up, chunked it up, because we are pretty close to our fire ring. There comes Olive to come see what we're doing also. So we'll just burn this in the fire ring once it's ready. Here you can see where that tree was. There's exactly where the mini-X was sitting, and I was digging, and you can see all this area is where the tree fell. Now, I moved most of the pieces back there in the woods, and almost immediately the deer came and started eating those leaves from the crabapple. But it's all a lot of jaggers. Actually, I can see the deer. They're watching us right now up there in the woods, seeing what we're doing. Also back here behind the shed, you'll see these are the original tires that were on my Ford 2N tractor. That really cool, unique design. I haven't seen anything since those days that's a design like these, but these are, I believe, Firestone tires that were on the, yep, there's the Firestone logo, that were on the Ford 2N tractor I had when it was straight from the factory. Cool tread. Leave a comment down below if you've seen this tire tread on some old tractors. You can see it never actually opens up. It's always connected. So cool tire tread. And you can clearly see that back here at the back, the wall is not damaged. And shockingly, as we move over here, I've got one little tree in front of it, makes it kind of hard to see. We'll go around the axe throwing target here, but right there is the only damage that I can see, and it's just the edge of the metal got kind of pulled up. If you can see it right up there, got kind of pulled up when the tree fell across it. I should just be able to bang that back down, I think, but we'll take a look at that. But no damage to the side. It's not crushed. I went inside and checked to make sure, and we'll take a look inside to make sure that the rafters and the trusses aren't damaged. I probably will go ahead and take this little tree down. It's just kind of in the way, because I do have a thought for what I want to do back here. But if we look up there on the roof, shockingly, it's not crushed, it's not broken, it's not damaged. And here is the size of the stump. So I did cut away all the branches off of the top of the stump, and I could actually cut this down more now. But this is the size of that stump. And again, in my head, that was still just a little crabapple tree, but I'm sure I'm mowing this area, and I'm thinking in my head before I did this, that stupid crabapple tree is probably where I've got at least 50%. Now here's a good example. Here's a stick from that crabapple tree. This was long before I started pushing at it. And the thorns on this thing, I'm pretty confident that probably 50% of the flat tires I've had on all my equipment have come from the thorns on this exact crabapple tree. So I just thought, I've got the Mini-X for one more night. Nice little project to get done. And I wanted to get this stump and everything moved out of the way. So that was one less thing that I thought, oh, I should have done that with the Mini-X. As we walk to take a look inside the building here, I want to tell you the other thing that was in the back of my mind. Before I ever started the Mini-X yesterday, I thought, look, this guy's coming to get this thing tomorrow. Obviously it's not paid for yet, but he is gonna buy it. And I don't wanna mess anything up the day before. I mean, I'd never messed anything up on the Mini-X operating at any other time. I didn't know why I would think that I might this time, but it was just in the back of my head like, don't mess this thing up. It's gonna be sold tomorrow. So that was also in the back of my mind. And at one point while I was operating, I shut it off for a second, hopped off, got back in, went to start it up, and it would not start. And then it was giving me this symbol over on the display, like maybe in my mind, like I was processing it all so fast. I'm like, oh my goodness, I broke something the day before I'm selling it. And I'm looking at this symbol and it's like, what is that saying? It needs hydraulic fluid? What is that symbol? Is it a bottle? And then I recognized it. I put two and two together, and it's the arm on the left-hand side of the machine that has to be lifted up for the machine to start. Evidently, in my haste, because I was hurrying through everything, I shut it off without pulling the arm up, got out of the machine, got back up in it, went to start it up, and that arm was not in the upright position, so it wouldn't start. But, you know, another example of why going fast, yeah, I need to do something about that. Why going fast causes problems. I did some rearranging here in my shed. You can see I've got both the split fire splitters in here. Brush hog still on the Ford Workmaster. Double bottom plow. Utility cart, spreader. But looking up here is what I wanted to show you. No damage to these trusses. None of the wood's damaged. No holes pushed through the steel. So I am super fortunate that I didn't really mess up this building. In my head, when I started to see that tree go down, I was already thinking in my head like, oh my goodness, I'm crushing trusses, ruining the back corner of the building, have to tear it apart, rebuild it. Is this something you turn into your insurance? Like, all that's going through my head really fast as the tree's falling in slow motion. Yeah, no damage in here, no cracks to the trusses. Those are things I was concerned with. Looks pretty good. Good storage space for the Ford Workmaster. I still would like to get this floor cemented and then maybe even put some inside paneling up in here. I've got a real mouse problem in here. Back here by the woods, it's got equipment in it, it's protected. The mice love that kind of situation. I'll put some clips in of, I pulled this wagon out, pulled that little Cub Cadet wagon out, and I'll put a clip in here of the mice that were all through that thing. Whole family of them. If you're not following us on Instagram, I put little things like that on Instagram sometimes. We're Purple Collar Life on Instagram. Put like the mice that were in the trailer. The mice that have, I call it Fivel, riding around with me on the tractor, because mice love to make nests up underneath the hood of the Ford Workmaster. I put a little clip in of all this stuff on the seat. You can see they're still working on the seat here. They're digging down in these holes. And then anytime you sit on it, pieces of foam come out. It's a mess. But I think a cement floor, maybe doing a little bit more paneling here on the inside of the building, and then just being back here more often maybe. Or you can see I do have electric. There's not actually electric run to this building, but I have an extension cord I can run to the house. But I thought about putting like the Jackery or something down here. Maybe get a solar panel. There might even be solar systems for a shed where, you know, there's one panel on the roof that charges a battery that then with a converter gives you 110 in the building. So I do have switches and lights in here to give me some light in the building, but none of that's, you know, hooked up to anything 99% of the time. I'd also, these doors are kind of a pain. Olive, what are you drooling about? You got yourself a drool necklace there. These doors are kind of a pain to open and close. So maybe someday in the future I'll put some type of other type of door there, maybe like a real garage door, but it's going to be an odd shape, an odd size. So I don't know about that. Pretty amazing though, no damage inside. So there you go, another lesson about why it makes sense not to rush through things. I say that all the time when we're boating to Jennifer, or when we're camping. Like, we're not in a rush, we're out here to have fun. Don't let anybody else make us feel like we have to hurry. Don't just intrinsically in our mind feel like we're holding somebody up. We gotta hurry up at the boat launch or the boat ramp. You just take your time and do things right. It's when you hurry that mistakes are made and accidents happen. So there's your lesson for today. Always just take your time, think through things, have a plan, kind of rush through this project. I wasn't even gonna record this. In fact, I thought, there's no sense in taking the camera down there. I'm just gonna get this done really quickly. I didn't do an intro or anything for a video for pushing a tree over with the Mini-X. I grabbed the camera last second, put it on the magnet mount. Thought maybe I'd get some B-roll of the Mini-X in action, or just for personal, like my last day of owning the Mini-X. So that's kind of why I grabbed the camera last second. Little did I know that my haste was going to create content for this video. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative and entertaining, please give us a big thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. Maybe stories that some of you have done something in haste or without thinking or in a rush, and you've had issues similar to this one. Thankfully, this didn't work out nearly as bad as I thought it was going to. We were definitely, somebody was watching over us and making sure that the shed wasn't crushed by the tree that I dropped on it that was much larger and taller than I thought it was, that I remembered it as. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully we'll see you again the next time. Well, that did not go exactly according to plan, but I was able to take the chainsaw, relieve the pressure, and get it up off of the roof. Just one small little dent there on the roof from where it fell. That's fixable. But that was definitely not the plan.